Hello and welcome to this IQON programme about leadership. My name's Gordon Dick, I'm a fellow for the Institute of Quarrying and the owner of Rock and Road Training. These programmes are part of the advice, information and guidance provided by the Institute of Quarrying centred around the skills wheel. This film is about leadership, part of the personal effectiveness segment of the skills wheel. Why? Well, good leaders understand their own strengths and weaknesses, as well as those of their teams, to develop their teams to perform and give impactful results. Leadership is a broad topic, from debating the roles and characteristics of a good leader through to understanding what good leadership looks like and how this can impact the corporate strategy and performance. What this film is focusing on is the issue of trust within leadership. During this programme, we're going to be presented with different scenarios about trust and leadership. Joining us to debate the issues raised are Sarah Digby and Dave Lees, both senior lecturers at the University of Derby in leadership and management. James Thorne and Julian Smallshaw from the Institute of Quarrying, and Kyle Bevan from Hanson Aggregates.
The issue of trust is an important area to address because we often talk about the culture and values of organisations as being critical for an organisation to be successful, health and safe in the way they operate. And we talk about visible felt leadership, and I think all of those things are wrapped up in trust. So if you lose that trust in an organisation, then the culture starts to fall apart. So you can have systems, processes, strategies in place, but unless the leaders and managers of organisations are able to show and engage with the organisation's employees that they are fully behind them and that there's a level of trust with what they're asking them to do and that they can come to them and explain to them what they're doing, that trust is lost, then the way the organisation fundamentally operates will fall apart.
Trust is an absolute foundation of relationships. Trust means that information can be shared, communication is easier, and tasks can be performed better to achieve overall results. To explore the issue of trust at work, we're going to explore the following areas. Why does trust matter? Who trusts whom at work? How is trust created and can it be repaired when it is broken? How do we develop leaders and followers? We want your views on these questions and conversations. Join us in the conversation on LinkedIn with the hashtag IQON. Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits for Highly Successful People, is one of the 20th century's most quoted authorities on leadership. He talked about trust being the glue of life, the foundation of relationships, and how this impacted the work environment. Without trust, we don't collaborate, we merely coordinate, or at best, cooperate. It is the trust that transforms a group of people into a team.
I think within an organisational context, trust can be defined as a relationship. A relationship that's perhaps built over time, perhaps that's built to weather the storms of uncertainty, and perhaps is built on the principles of reliability, consistency and truth. For the organisation, I think it's extremely important in terms of perceptions of trust. This can be external perceptions or alternatively internal perceptions, such as that of perhaps employer brand. With regard to employees within an organisation, I believe there's greater cooperation, greater teamwork, a greater sense of purpose. And this in turn then leads to greater engagement, retention, motivation, and overall organisational performance will improve. Having a culture that's ingrained in trust creates a far more agile organisation. Decision making can happen far more quickly. Therefore, the organisation overall can be far more proactive in a competitive marketplace.
Okay, so now I'd like to talk about something that I believe is the bedrock of any successful culture. Would anyone like to take a guess about what I might be thinking about?
Communication?
Effective communication, yes, very important, but the thing I'm thinking of actually underpins good communication.
A voice.
Yeah, speaking is an important part of communication, but what I'm thinking about runs even deeper than that. Anyone? Okay, well, the thing I'm thinking of is trust. Because how can you have effective communication without trust? Because trust, the opposite of trust, is mistrust, is suspicion. Trust is the absolute foundation stone of any healthy, functioning culture. Now, trust is not easily won. It needs to be built up over time. It needs to be nurtured in order that it may flourish and grow. Okay, well, enough of my yakking. I think it's time we got you all up on your feet. Let's get trust up and working. For this, I am going to need a willing victim volunteer. Anyone? Excellent, Leslie. Up you come. You can be our target. Come and stand at the front here. If you just stand there, and if everybody else could also get on your feet and come to the front. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, Leslie, if you would like to stand over here, and if we could just form ourselves in 2 rows and just get down on the ground on our knees, face a partner, and we're going to form a cradle for Leslie to fall back into. Now, Leslie, what I'd like you to do is stand there. That's right. Cross your hands across your chest. Close your eyes, and I'd just like you to fall backwards, and we will catch you.
What, you want me just to fall backwards?
Yeah, cross your arms, close your eyes, fall backwards, trust in the team.
Okay, you ready?
Yep. Gently lower her to the ground. There we are, that's it. Trust in action. Thanks very much, everyone. If you'd like to take your seats. Leslie, how did that feel?
A bit scary, to be honest.
Scary, very interesting, because actually the first time you take that leap of faith and put your trust in other people, it can be scary. But if we know that everyone is behind us and they're going to catch us and support us, then trust will grow. Now, trust, it's a noun and a verb. Now, as a noun, very easy to say, but in order for it to really count, it must be demonstrated as a verb. And we should, every day, be catching each other and supporting each other, and in that way, trust will become an integral part of our culture.
John. Glad I caught you. I've been trying to find you all morning.
Yeah, Leslie, I've been driving. My phone's been switched off. Listen, I'm in a bit of a rush. Is this urgent?
Well, it'll only take a minute. You know that work package you said you'd do? Well, I needed it 3 hours ago, and it's kind of holding things up now, so...
The work package? What, now? You want it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, why didn't you tell me it was urgent?
Well, we did talk about this 3 days ago, and you said you'd have it finished yesterday.
Look, Leslie, this is really inconvenient. I've got to be down on site. I know it's around somewhere. Give me till 4 o'clock. I'll get it to you
Yeah,
then.
but John,
Look,
I...
Leslie, trust me on this.
Leslie, how did it go?
Not so good, actually, Gordon. That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Mind, these things are all in the planning. I said that, didn't I?
Yeah, you did say that. You also said that you would organise the delivery with Mitchell's, but when I called them, you hadn't done it.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
I'm not sure I said that, Leslie.
No, you did. You said you would sort the Mitchell's order.
No. What I actually said is I would look into the Mitchell's order. Now, that's a different thing from saying I would sort it. Now, I remember these conversations well. Trust me on that, Leslie.
Dave, have you got a minute?
Yeah, it will have to be quick.
Yeah. You know the chat we had the other day about the bit of bother that I'm having at home?
Yeah, I hope everything's picking up for you.
Yeah, you did say that you wouldn't mention that to anyone.
Yep, and I never would.
Right. It's just, I've just overheard Brian talking about it in the canteen.
Right, well, he didn't get it from me.
Dave, you're the only person I've told about it. So where's Brian got it from?
I really need to be somewhere else. But I would never betray a confidence. All right? Trust me.
This scenario looks at the overarching theme of building trust. So what we need to discuss first is what key messages do you think you got from this scenario?
I think regarding the task, there wasn't just a trust element between the person who was falling, there was a trust element between the group, because obviously there were 6 people. If one person isn't holding their weight, then one person isn't going to be able to support the person falling. So it's a group effort to be able to trust everyone, to actually support each other so that they can all catch the person.
So the interdependency of trust between the group and the leaders.
So really, the 2 main elements was the person falling trusting the team, but then the team actually trusting everybody else within the team, that they was all going to hold each other up.
Did you think the scene portrayed any particular advice about how trust is perceived?
I think what it demonstrated is almost the fragility of trust and how quickly it can be severed and broken, and perhaps how long it might take to actually repair.
So in this case, what was the impact of the lack of trust in colleagues?
If you scale it up to an organisational perspective, and in terms of the culture of an organisation, if there's a lack of trust there, then the performance is just, the organisation is not going to be able to perform as well as it needs to. If the culture is slightly out of kilter of what you need in an organisation, then the behavioural habit is going to be out of kilter. And learning to trust each other, learning to work with each other and rely on each other it's quite a long process.
The bottom line is trust matters because teams do not perform well without it. In the report, Where Has All the Trust Gone?, the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development identified several reasons businesses should build trust. Improved employee performance, higher levels of motivation and positive attitudes, reduced costs due to higher productivity, less waste, less staff turnover, fewer stoppages, and so on. Positive social behaviours at work, including desirable work-related behaviour. Enhanced knowledge sharing and increased innovation. Improved cooperative working. Does organisational structure and culture have a bearing on trust?
I think trust in itself is quite an intangible concept because it's very much dictated by a psychological state. However, if we have trust within an organisation, we can measure it through metrics such as retention, lower sickness absence, ability to attract and bring talent into an organisation, and perhaps also a reduction in errors. So I think trust and engagement are reciprocal. If an organisation is based on the principles of trust, and that's holistically through the organisation, employees, senior management will naturally be more engaged because they believe and feel that they're far more valued. It creates a culture of respect, shared values and open communication, and these are intrinsic to every employee as part of a positive psychological contract. If we have a psychological contract that is positive, we get that extra mile from our teams. We get that extra stage of positivity that will no doubt enhance the business overall.
How strong you believe the trust to be in your organisation is also relative to your position within that organisation. For example, it's not unusual for senior leaders to have more positive view of trust than those in more operative roles. Referring again to the report by the CIPD, they identified that there were 5 core organisational trust relationships. Trust in each other, trust in leaders, trust in the organisation, trust in external relations, trust in the line manager. An organisation will have a dominant type, but often with elements of all of those relationships. Each relationship has strengths and weaknesses associated with it.
I am the manager. I am responsible for setting the strategic aims and values of the company, and I trust them to deliver these.
I am the supervisor, and I ensure that his aims and values are an everyday part of working life, and I trust him to put them into practice.
I'm the operative. They trust me to do as I'm told.
Although I set the direction of the company, I am accountable to a board of directors and shareholders, and they trust me to deliver a return on their investment.
I trust him to set an adequate budget, so we get the equipment that we need.
I trust them to get me everything I need to do my job properly.
Decisions are made at a board level in order to ensure the continuing success of the company. However, this does mean that sometimes we make decisions that are unpopular with him and him.
Sometimes it seems that all he thinks about is business and money.
My safety boots are rubbish.
We are working in a competitive business, which means we always must keep one eye on the competition, but we must also ensure that the values and interests of the customer are kept at our heart, and that way we can continue to be successful.
He goes on and on about pleasing the customer, but he doesn't seem to realise what it takes to get the job done. I sympathise with him. The work can be hard.
His math writes cheques that I can't cash.
I sympathise with him and him. Big businesses do not change overnight, and sometimes I expect it can seem we move slowly, but we are always working to make things better.
I understand that everything can't change overnight. I just get frustrated about how long things do take round here. I wonder if he knows what he's doing.
I wonder if either of them know what they're doing. He doesn't seem to have any more idea of what's going on around here than I do. And as for him, he can tell you the square root of an orange, but he couldn't peel one.
In order to make things better, I've been told that I must engage with the workforce more. And I understand I should do that. But when I do go and visit a site, all I get is moaning. It's difficult.
He comes down on site and asks me what I think, but he doesn't seem to listen to what I say. I go down on site and ask him what he thinks, and all I get is moaned at.
People ask me what I think, and then nothing happens. Why bother?
Safety is right at the top of our agenda. There is no job so important or urgent that we cannot take the time to do it safely. This is why we have procedures in place to stop people getting hurt.
Everything is a mountain of paperwork. Most of it probably doesn't make the job any safer. A lot of safety is common sense.
I have to fill in a permit to go to the loo.
When things do go wrong, we work hard to find out why they went wrong so we can prevent it happening again. So I rely on him and him to be open and honest.
I mostly see him when things go wrong. And then the first thing he wants to know is, who did it?
I'll get me coat.
I like my job, but I am under an awful lot of pressure. It feels sometimes like I'm under a microscope and my every move is being watched, and I understand that the lowest standards I set are the highest standards that people will aspire to. I envy him and him, because sometimes it feels they are a lot freer than I am.
I feel like I'm squeezed in a sandwich. I feel pressure from him pushing down, and I feel pressure from him pushing up. I'm supposed to be an example for him, and I'm supposed to set an example for him. It's like a tightrope.
I feel pressure from him, and from him. But actually, I'm always watching both of them to see if they're walking the talk.
We cannot do this alone. We must trust each other that we all have the best interests of the business and the people at heart.
At the end of the day, I've got to trust that he has our best interests at heart, and that he really cares.
At the end of the day, I've got to trust that we're all looking out for each other.
So in this scenario, we look at how trust is built across different levels within an organisation, within the different roles, and how that trust is shared and relationships are formed. What do you think the scene tells us about the trust relationships across an organisation?
As a phrase, the meaning of the message is what the person who receives that message understands about it. Right. And I think the potential with hierarchy, as we were seeing in that, is for the hierarchy could get in the way of people talking to each other and hearing each other.
It's difficult really, because the message from the top doesn't always get to the bottom. And there's often this blockage of communication, whether it's because it's not being delivered in the correct way or whether it's just not being understood. It is quite a common theme within the industry.
There is a significance with communication and trust, because obviously trust can significantly be broken as communication gets disjointed and distracted across an organisation. Trust is definitely, it differs by what people want out of the working relationship. You know, everybody's focus is on what I want.
So once this trust breaks down, or to build on this trust, what can organisations do to build trust at all levels?
Well, one of the points that emerged from sort of watching the clip was one of the comments that were made was, we need to trust each other. And I would argue that perhaps trust is something that's far more a decision that you make. You should want to trust rather than feel that there's a need to trust, because that reflects a kind of compliance culture that we tick boxes. Yes, do we trust each other? Yes, we do. Done.
You can only demand trust to a certain degree. People will trust you for your position until they find something that proves you're untrustworthy.
Where do you think the most resilient trust relationships are within your own organisation? Are these influenced by the culture of the organisation? There isn't a perfect solution, but understanding where trust lies in an organisation is important. Not just in the day-to-day operations, but also if the organisation has to go through significant change or an unexpected event. We know that trust is vital to team performance and where those trust relationships lie within an organisation.
I think both new and established leaders need to be open to the mindset of creating trust. And this means that they need to be honest, they need to be humble and admit mistakes, they need to share information but also seek information from others. They need to be able to accept feedback, whether that be positive or negative, and be open to that. And they need to create a situation that builds effective followership rather than perhaps those that are more alienated or don't feel that they want to engage with the organisation overall. I believe that people must be at the heart. It's not about ego, it's about creating an ecosystem. And in order to be able to do this, I suggest the 3 C's, which is commitment, that is to building that relationship based on trust, consistency, which means consistent in approach to one and all, and also communication, so collectively benefiting from open communication from all ranges of the organisation. Trust can be repaired, but it takes a long time. If we consider trust in our own relationships, marriages and other forms of relationships, if trust is broken, it takes a significant amount of time for that to rebuild, and that's no different than within an organisation. If managers and leaders are dishonest or closed to communication, protective of information, what they create is a conformist culture that is counter to building trust.
Trust is complex, meaning different things to different people. It's often viewed as soft, intangible and abstract. However, when we compare the results of teams with high levels of trust, we can understand that trust is critical for success. Leaders understand that they can only lead people when they are trusted. Trust is something that's formed over a period of time and strengthened by ongoing positive actions.
OK team, thanks for coming along this afternoon. I just wanted a few quick words really about the last project and how it went. Now I know you all put your trust in me to head it up and deliver it, and I am aware that things perhaps could have gone a little more smoothly.
A bit more smoothly? It was a disaster, Alan.
Disaster's a bit of a big word, Barbara. I mean, it could have gone a little better, I'll give you that.
A bit better? I mean, try a lot better. I mean, you completely destroyed the supply chain by not getting your orders in on time.
Well, let's be fair here, Colin. The supply chain was never that great at the best of times, was it?
You also fell out with the contracting team and you let them go mid-job.
Would we say fallout? Anyway, everybody knows that they were always a bit shifty.
Really? Shifty? Seemed to me they were doing a good job.
Well, they might have started doing a good job, but did we trust them to finish a good job, huh?
Yeah, well, we'll never know now, will we?
My point exactly.
Sorry, Alan, that doesn't make any sense. I think I speak for the rest of the team when I say we feel a bit let down. I mean, when you put yourself forward to lead this project, you made several promises, most of which 2 weeks later you've broken, leaving us to clear up the mess.
OK, guys, OK. Things were less than ideal. I'll give you that. They were. But look, I know you put your trust in me to deliver it. But the top and bottom of it is that I don't want this little hiccup to impact our decisions to put trust in me again for the next project. So with that in mind, as a small recompensation for any troubles that we all had during it, how about a £10 gift voucher each? Huh?
What, you think a £10 gift voucher is going to make everything all right?
But no, I know it takes more than a £10 gift certificate to rebuild trust in a team. Mind, it's for a posh shop. But you know, I get that. So how about you all have a drink on me and let bygones be bygones, eh?
Beer? What? I don't even drink beer.
That's a bit cruel, Barbara. It's all in the thought, you know.
Well, it's your lack of thought that's got us here in the first place.
Look, all right, Barbara. I get this. You're not a beer drinker. Not everybody is, I understand that. So how about tickets to the opera. A night at the opera. What do we think of that?
Alan, I don't want to go to the opera.
Oh, all right. Opera isn't your thing. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I understand that, okay? How about instead a weekend in the Cotswolds for you and your partner, or somebody else's partner if that's what you're into? Huh? What do you think about that?
Alan, this is all very nice, but in what way does this impact on your handling of the project?
I understand it wasn't ideal. I'm trying here to put the trust back into the team. Now, let's not just keep harking back to the past all the time, eh? Why don't we think about the future, about putting trust in the future? Talking of the future, here's a date for your diaries, help you plan ahead. Tickets to the next Wimbledon. Huh?
How did you even get hold of these?
Ask no questions, Colin. Ask no questions. Nothing's too much to put the trust back into the team.
These must have cost a fortune, but they're not the way we do things.
I get it. Tennis not your thing. I never had you down as a tennis man, to be honest with you. But I bet you like football, though, don't you? Huh? Tickets to the next FIFA World Cup. Huh? What do you reckon to that?
Alan, please stop. Look, you can't just buy people off.
I'm not buying people off. I'm trying to build bridges to the future here. Talking of building bridges, how about a holiday in Venice for you and the family?
Oh, Alan, please, this is getting ridiculous.
Oh, come on, guys. I mean, how about a shopping trip to Dubai?
No, Alan, please, stop.
All right, a fortnight's cruise around the Bahamas.
Yeah, Alan, stop.
No, all right. Final bit here. How about an all-expenses-paid trip on the Orient Express for you and all your families? Now come to Daddy.
Alan, stop. Just stop.
Come on, guys. I mean, I know it wasn't ideal, but I'm trying here to build the trust and put it back into the team. I mean, come on, a £10 gift voucher, a bottle of beer on me, a night to the opera, a trip to the Cotswolds, tickets to Wimbledon, tickets to the next World Cup, a trip to Venice, a holiday in the Bahamas, shopping trip in Dubai, and an all-expenses-paid trip on the Orient Express. What does a man have to do to build trust around here?
Well, I mean, have you thought about maybe, well, I don't know, maybe saying sorry?
Sorry?
Okay, so Alan was maybe slightly over the top in this scene. Maybe. But what do you think led to the breakdown in trust with his team?
Well, first of all, there was a lot of blame. The scene started up and he was talking about this contractor and this contractor doing things wrong within the job. So at the start there was obviously no clear accountability for what had actually gone wrong, which I think would have possibly been a good start, actually accounting to where the issue was at and actually owning up to him to say what's gone wrong.
But he hadn't he hadn't actually delegated responsibilities to individuals, and a lot of the issues actually revolved around himself, clearly.
But I think on that, if you're choosing not to delegate, then you have to take ownership of your mistake, don't you?
You do, yes.
Yeah, but it
of course
isn't.
he did.
And I think that's key. You have to be reliable and consistent if you're going to be a leader that builds trust.
Yeah, and every opportunity he had to buy trust, he bought more. So every time they said no, he tried again with something bigger and something more outrageous.
Of course, what all that boiled down to in the end was simply a lack of respect for him.
But I take that one stage further, actually, and say that he demonstrated a lack of respect for them.
I agree,
to think
yeah.
that they're so easily, have a
Yes.
£10, have
Yes.
this, have that, go on the Orient Express.
So respect again comes up as a key item. So how could he go about rebuilding this trust?
I think he's got to be open and honest, because he's not being open and honest.
I think personally for me, I'd say sorry. I've messed up, and hopefully by me saying sorry and actually owning up to my mistakes, hopefully that promotes a bit of feedback within the group, and hopefully there's more constructive ideas, and then overall we've got a bit more of a clear project goal and clear objectives to get to the goal.
Mm-hmm. But I think if you are making an apology, there has to be a genuineness to that. It's no good saying, I'm sorry, okay, let's do this now. You have to let that have time for people to process and for them to have choice whether they accept that apology or not, because everybody has choice to do that as well.
He needs to delegate responsibilities and trust the people that work for him.
So maybe empowering his team with some trust in them
Correct.
would give a reciprocal relationship where he would receive some trust back. A breakdown of trust can happen quickly and take a long time to repair. The best option for trust is to make sure it is not broken in the first place. Some of the main reasons employees lose trust in leaders are using spin or outright lying when getting messages across, being less than honest, not exactly lying, but not necessarily telling the whole truth either, failing to walk the talk. Words are easy, it's actions and behaviours that really demonstrate the values and priorities. Failing to do what you say. If you make a promise, keep it. Being inconsistent, making ad hoc or random decisions. Building trust requires leaders that are capable of doing their role, integrity and character, and communication skills that are open and honest. Building trust at work is a two-way relationship. It requires leaders to have the personal character, competence and passion to do the role.
If you're promising development, opportunities, progression, failure to deliver upon that will erode trust. And particularly with millennials, they don't want it in 5 or 10 years, they want it soon. And they want to see that investment in them. And I think that's fundamental to this particular generation.
So the key leadership skills are those softer skills. So it's the communication skills, the listening skills. Again, organisations are made up of people. So do you understand what your people are telling you? Do you listen to what their concerns are, their ideas, the opportunities they might present to you? And I think, again, that's a big part of this. Can you empathise with your workforce, with the people that are around you and the teams of people that work within your organisation? And that works for both really small organisations also, but very large ones. There is a range of formal industry leadership training available. Obviously, one of the most notable ones is that we have the courses through the University of Derby Centre for Mineral Products, which is a clear pathway for developing our future leaders for the industry. And again, that's developing not only the technical skills, but also the management and leadership skills for those individuals as they progress in the early part of their career. More widely, we have the IQ's own Level 3 ILM qualification, which again is focusing on giving people those skills and competencies to develop the early stages of management and supervisory skills within an organisation. Again, it's going back to that often individuals will have technical capabilities in the processing side of the industry, but not necessarily the management skills that they need to be able to get their teams motivated and move them forward. The IQ provides a wide range of support for people who are aspiring to be managers or already in leadership and management roles. You have the key sort of support from fact sheets, webinars, our handbooks that enable people to sort of develop and understand more of the skills that you need as a manager and a leader. And I think one of the biggest values we have is our branch network. I think the branch networks are made up of people who have lived and breathed management and supervisory roles over a number of years, and that resource is fantastic for people who are looking to develop that. And I think one of the most exciting things for us currently is that we're looking particularly in areas such as coaching and mentoring. How do we support people in developing those skills on a one-to-one basis? And again, giving them access to individuals that have the understanding of the industry and understanding of what those roles could and should be like, and enabling them to be paired up so that they can actually develop their own skills in that way. I think it's a very good pathway set out for individuals coming into the industry looking to progress through their career. So very clearly, when you've got levels like TMIQ, through to MIQ, through to FIQ, you can very easily track and plot your path of your experience and your development as an individual and as a professional in the industry.
But as the Greek philosopher Aristotle observed, those that have never learned to obey cannot be a good commander. Therefore, to create good, trusting, performing teams, we need employees to be good followers. All employees have a personal responsibility to contribute to a positive working environment.
Okay, so thank you for being here today, everyone. As you all know, we are looking to make operations more efficient so that we can improve the overall performance of the company. So you've all had a chance to look at the brief, yeah? Good. So you'll know that today is just a brainstorming session to see what we can come up with, yeah? Now look, even although I'm the manager, it's you guys out there every day doing the job, so really, you're the experts. Let's just remember that there's no such thing as a stupid question or a stupid idea. So let's just say what we think in this open, supportive, non-judgmental environment. All right? Yeah? Good. Okay, good. So ideas. Come on, guys, don't be shy.
Look, you've had this brief for over a week now. There must be something that you've thought of.
Well, I've been thinking about the fleet that we're running. At the moment, we contract a lot of our deliveries. We could internalise some of that.
Yeah, I was thinking on the same lines, actually. I think there's an opportunity there.
Okay. I don't think I've been particularly clear about the purpose of today. This is about bringing bright new ideas so that we can move things forward.
Yeah, well, this would be a new structure.
Yeah, look, Bob, I realise you've only been with us for a few years, so you won't remember back to the days when we ran the entire fleet internally. It was a bit of a disaster, really. But, you know, really excellent work thinking outside the box. Remember, there's no such thing as a stupid idea. So, fleet aside, what else have we got?
Well, I've been having a look at the supply chain, and to be honest, it's a bit bitty.
Bitty. Right, what do you mean by that, Don?
Well, I think we've got an opportunity here to really streamline things. I mean, there are a few different lines we've got the opportunity to bring under one supplier.
Okay, well, you're looking at Avion?
Well, Avion and Grant Taylor, to be honest with you, although to be fair, of late, when you look at it, Avion have been struggling to keep up and they've let us down a few times recently, and to be honest, it's cost us.
Yeah, but you're not suggesting we ditch Avion.
Well, it would increase our influence over Grant Taylor.
Yeah, but flip that on its head.
Sorry, I'm not following you.
Well, it's going to increase Grant Taylor's influence over us, isn't it? Seriously, Darren, I can't believe you suggested we put all our eggs in one basket.
Well, hear me out here. Have a look at the projections that we've been
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think we can all see we're leaving ourselves open here to a colossal, catastrophic breakdown. I mean, we can all see that, can't we?
Okay, so I think what we're saying is good idea in principle there, Don, but not much take up in the room for it currently. Yeah? No. Let's just try and explore some other avenues, shall we? Come on, guys. It's not very often we get to sit round a table like this. This is your opportunity to be heard.
Well, I mean, I was wondering whether, with PPE, maybe there's, we could maybe improve that a bit.
Yes, very good. Now that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. See, everyone? There's an opportunity to improve in every area.
Yeah, so I've been looking at the boots and the gloves. The boots and the gloves that we're currently buying, they're mid-range. I mean, they meet the specs and the quality's fine, but,
But we could buy cheaper. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, that's not actually what I'm saying, so...
What, you're not saying that we could save money on PPE?
No, I am. Just not in that way. See, I've been talking to some of the guys on the floor and following the working life of some of the kit they've been using. And I think if we upgrade that gear, I'm thinking particularly here about boots and gloves, for an extra 10% outlay, we could increase the working life of that gear by about 25%. So that's a saving of 15%.
Yeah, you've been talking to the guys on the shop floor.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's your first mistake. Look, you could buy them lads boots from Gucci and they still wouldn't be happy. They barely take care of the stuff they've already got. They're not going to take care of better stuff.
Yeah, but better is going to last longer. I mean, everyone can see that, surely.
I have spent years working on the tools. And I know what happens when you get good stuff. It goes walkabout. You spend more trying to replace the stuff that's been nicked. No, what we need to do is encourage a culture of taking care of things.
Yes, I see what you mean there, Bob. I like that. A culture of taking care of things. I'm writing that down. Good. This is great stuff, guys. Keep it coming.
Yeah, what about the travel plan then? That needs an overhaul.
The travel plan. Seriously, Bob, the travel plan. No, I don't think anyone wants to go there, do we? No, look, I know I said there was no such thing as a stupid idea, but seriously, the travel plan. No, really, there must be something else we can look at.
Well, what are your ideas then, Andrea?
Well, thank you for saying that, Bob, because yesterday I drew up a little something. I'd just like to take a look. Yeah.
If I'm reading this right, it seems to say that we should get rid of a few people and make the others work harder.
Yes, exactly. The genius is in its simplicity.
Oh, it's simple, all right.
Yeah, well, that's why I think everyone can get on board with it, you see. Guys, do you know what? I think this has been an excellent session. Some real gold dust. So thank you for that. Just remember, everyone, teamwork is the only way that we can make this thing happen.
So in this scenario, we look at a brainstorming session within a meeting environment and how the leader manages their team to get the best out of their team, ironically not achieving it. So how would you describe the relationships in this team?
I thought the relationships were strained between each of them. They clearly didn't get on. There was a disconnect between each of them.
There was definitely evidence of disengagement. So perhaps, they're in that scenario where we've been here before, we've been asked these questions before, and actually our contributions are meaningless. It's tokenistic, and so we're not bothered.
So that's a huge tell on the culture within a team or an organisation. When you ask for those ideas, it is an external influence, and you come into a meeting and you ask for those ideas and you get silence, you have a huge reflection on the culture within that team and the trust.
I mean, she was very condescending in the way she was talking to each of the individuals as well. Again, probably down to perhaps again a lack of empowerment to those individuals as well.
What do you think Andrea was doing wrong during our meeting?
She literally shut everything down. As soon as anything, like any sort of idea came across, no matter what it was literally pretty much shut down instantly. And as someone who's promoting ideas, it's not what you want. It's like you say, you're not going to get much feedback going forward. If any time you do provide feedback, it's instantly just discounted.
Yeah.
If it's about being authentic, if you're opening up opportunities to contribute, then open them up. Yeah. Otherwise, don't bother. You go into the session and say, "This is my idea. Here it is. There you go. We're doing it."
So to take a genuine approach.
Yeah.
So if there is only one outcome,
Yeah.
open the conversation with the outcome. So that's a lot to do with the leadership skills and how Andrea could have developed the meeting to do better. But the participants, they have a part to play in each of those meetings. And we've all been in meetings where that scenario's played out. Yeah. What could those participants do differently? So what could the individuals have done differently to engage and develop those ideas?
I think they could actually question her and actually go back and reverse the situation. Why would you not want to do this? Give me the reasons why you wouldn't.
But on that's a really fantastic point, because it's about trusting one another. And if you're at a sort of the same level, you should have that trust in colleagues that they've got your back.
Yes.
When it's needed, and it's kind of then you've got the numbers to actually have the courage and build that together.
There's an argument as well, I think, for language use and the tone of language and communicating both ways. I think one of the things is people with reasonable ideas in that situation sometimes don't feel unconfident to actually say, well, no, hang on a minute, just let's stop. Let me just take you through my reasoning for that. And there was a bit of anger developing in the way that they spoke to each other.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you very much for your contribution today. It's excellent to see so much discussion generated from those scenarios. And we would like to continue this conversation on LinkedIn using the hashtag IQON. Leaders need to trust their followers, but also vice versa. We recently interviewed third-year minerals products apprentices for their views on what makes a good leader.
Someone who's confident, but not too confident. I think overconfidence can make you look a bit big-headed. But someone who can get among the team and make everyone feel confident, not just yourself.
Somebody that knows the team, somebody that can motivate people, empathise with people, and inspire people really in a way that, again, to achieve them goals and targets that you need to meet.
I think a good leader is somebody who can adapt to different people. Because I think obviously you can only get the best out of different people by adapting to them, which obviously you get through spending time with each other and getting to know each other.
Particularly what makes a good leader is a strong work ethic, being able to be organised in yourself, so then that can reflect on other people. Being able to keep the morale up on site is very key for being in a leadership role, as you are then tasked with keeping your workforce happy and content with what they do in their daily jobs.
While the personal dynamic between leaders and followers is important, trust is also influenced by the dynamic of the whole workplace. Put simply, policies and procedures put in place by management do make a difference. Think about how your organisation identifies, supports and mentors leaders. Is the culture of the organisation positively reflected throughout its leadership? As important, do policies and procedures reflect the ambitions and desires of the employees? As we'll all be working until later in life than previous generations, career progression is not always a linear progression. The next generation in particular will want to reach their true potential through continuous learning and different opportunities. And if you're still thinking that trust is a nice to have rather than a need to have in an organisation, think about how trust impacts on other major challenges identified in the workplace, such as well-being and diversity. Creating workplaces where people are valued and supported fosters staff morale and mental health, and also helps with recruiting and retaining talent from different backgrounds. Agility. Being open and able to adapt to change helps organisations remain competitive and promotes innovation in the workplace. Sustainability. Social, political and environmental policies build trust and value in employees, which in turn creates positive brand ambassadors. Combine all of these with the digital transformation that's going to affect all of us. With increasing amounts of data, we need to focus on what can be controlled as well as being prepared for the unexpected, and what the future of leadership will look like in an increasingly automated world. Thanks very much for watching this programme on leadership, and don't forget to continue the conversation on LinkedIn using the hashtag IQON.